Hey everybody, it's Kia. So today I thought we would go ahead and close out the June budget. I'm super excited to get this one taken care of because it's going to be our first full budget in our planner. I have to say it was a crazy month and we've learned a lot about our spending so far. But needless to say, it's a good process and I think that we will be able to benefit from this in the long run and hopefully make some really good decisions going forward. So let's go ahead and dive in. I do have the transaction detailed, the final paycheck tracker for the month of June, as well as the June budget. So to speed it along, I went ahead and I filled out all the actual numbers, and I figured we would just kind of walk through how the month turned out. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now going forward though, we won't have the transaction detail report because we will be switching over to a different budgeting software online. I've decided to go ahead and give YNAB a shot. I just finally had enough with Quicken. I've tried to fill in the budget reports so that I can pull budget to actual reports and things like that. Sadly, I just can't get it to work for us. The other problem that I had was printing out the transaction detail reports for the videos. I could not get the running balance to show correctly, and it was hiding some of the transactions within the transaction detail report. I don't know why, because I was only printing it or only filtering it based off of the date, but that's what it was doing for me. So that's what prompted the switch. And I have to say, after playing around with YNAB a little bit, I think that it's going to fit our budgeting style a little better than what I was getting out of Quicken anyway. So let's go ahead and dive in. This is the transaction detail report for Capital One that I used to fill out the paycheck budget. And then Bank of America was the account that I could not get the report to pull. So I went ahead and I just filled it all out, and that's what I'm going to put into the planner. That way I have a record of what happened and where I got the numbers. But let's go ahead and dive in, and I will zoom you guys in a little closer so you can see what's going on. Okay, so we will start with Bank of America. Bank of America is our spending account. So basically I transfer all of our bill pay money over to Capital One, and that's where most of the bills get paid from. Anything left over in Bank of America are other things that we're saving for, like medical expenses, just general shopping, things like that. But that is where all of our money gets deposited into. So for the last 4 days of the month that this paycheck covered, we had some grocery shopping, we had a couple fast food items, we had one entertainment purchase, and then we had a couple shopping items. Thank goodness we did pretty good for the most part, other than the shopping wasn't really budgeted in, but we were able to stay under budget on our food. And then the entertainment still, even though I only budgeted $15 on this specific paycheck tracker, the only item that we had come out was Spotify, and that one was for $15.76. So down towards the bottom, I went ahead and I added up each one of the categories, and these are the amounts that I transferred over to the actual paycheck tracker itself. Now, hopefully going forward, we will be paying more attention to our shopping items, things like that. And for the most part, our shopping items aren't too crazy. We did have an Apple purchase, which was a program for me to use on the webcam to hopefully tweak the settings a little bit. And then I had a PayPal purchase up here. But the majority of our shopping, sadly, right now comes from cigarette purchases at the gas station. And I had not been budgeting for those because I don't like the fact that we picked up that bad habit anyway, and I'm really hoping that we can go ahead and get to the point where we can quit smoking. But as of the moment, we're still trying to kind of figure out how we're going to go about doing that. I was hoping to get a prescription for a Chantix, but sadly, since we don't have insurance, it was like $475 or something like that. So I think we're going to try and find a different route. So if you guys have had experience with that in the past and you found something that works for you, if you can leave that down in the comments box down below, I'd really appreciate it. I've tried the patches before. They hurt my arms. I have not tried the lozenges, and then I can't really chew the gum, so that's not going to be an option. So I'm kind of looking at maybe the vapor pens, but I don't want to get the ones that you can pick up at the gas station or Walmart. I've tried those and I don't really like them. So I'm just kind of shopping around right now, trying to figure out what would be best for us. But that's basically what happened in our Bank of America account. In our bill pay account, we did pretty good. Most of it was bills. We had one fast food purchase, and then we had, let's see what else. Oh, we had a prescription fill in this account. So other than that, though, it was really just bills and transfers in and out of the debt savings account for our debt snowball money that I was tracking, as well as just budget variances. So in total, we had debt payments of $645.67 out of this account. We had a positive inflow from debt savings because I transferred money out and then I transferred it back in for the Capital One card. That's more just something I like to do because I like to see the running log to see where that budget variance came from. And then we had that one food purchase for $10.82, and then we had the prescription on this account for $3.93. So let's go ahead and look at the paycheck tracker itself. I think we did pretty good this payday. I mean, it was only 4 days, but we normally do the majority of our shopping after we get paid. So that weekend, the Monday following it, things like that. So altogether we had, my paycheck was $18.52. I was slightly under budget on that because I always budget $18.50. The roll forward was $16.22.80. And then on the debt savings, I didn't budget for that because I wasn't sure if I was going to have the money in the account or if I was going to transfer it in or out or whatever. But I did end up transferring into the account $650, and then we also earned 12 cents in interest on this account. So our total cash inflow to work with was $4,125.26. Now, as far as expenses go, like I said, we didn't really have a whole lot going on. We didn't have any fuel purchases for our vehicles. Entertainment, the only thing we had was the $15.76 from our Spotify account. Groceries, we budgeted $190 and we spent $126.21. And then homeschool, I ended up rolling that over into July. And July, right at the beginning of July, is where I actually made the big chunk of the rest of the homeschool purchases that I was planning on making. So that's going to end up being a roll forward. Now, medical, we did not pay for the therapy. They didn't bill us again, but we did have prescription charges, and they came out to $8.67 between both accounts. And then just for consistency, I decided I would go ahead and roll forward the mortgage payment. Technically, the mortgage is due on the 1st, but I have it set for auto pay around the 3rd, I think. And that just gives me time to make sure that when we get paid and we get money into our Bank of America account, that I can transfer money into the Capital One account. Most of the time, I end up budgeting for that before the 1st, so I usually have plenty of time, but every now and again, paydays just fall funny, so I take advantage of that 10-day grace period, and I go ahead and just have the bank auto pay that for me as soon as I have the money in there. But I think it's set to just automatically do it around the 3rd. And then shopping, that was the PayPal, the Apple purchase, and then the Circle K purchase, so that was $123.36. So all together we had budgeted $1,500. We're gonna end up rolling forward a good chunk of that, but we only spent $274. I thought it was super crazy that it ended up being $274 even, but you know, hey, things work out that way sometimes. Now on the debt, we didn't have a whole lot going on here either because I decided to go ahead and roll forward the items that wouldn't clear the bank until after my husband's paycheck. So we ended up having the one credit one MasterCard. That was $50. That's an auto pay. It's always the same amount. We did do the debt snowball payment on the Capital One Visa account that we've been working on. So that was $500. We had the Affirm 4 loan for $45.67. And then in purple, I went ahead and wrote in that we made an Amazon store credit card payment for $50. That was not budgeted in. I decided to go ahead and throw in an extra $50 on the account towards the end of the month to cover that slight overage that we had from where our Kindle subscription was hitting. Because the Kindle subscription was hitting on the account, we also had interest, and then the minimum payment wasn't quite covering everything. So that should bring it back down below the limit, and we should be able to stay on top of it now. I've also increased the minimum payment going forward to account for that Kindle subscription, so we shouldn't end up dealing with overages anymore either. I haven't decided if I'm going to change the Kindle subscription onto our other credit card that we like to use for rewards. I don't know if we get rewards for paying the Kindle subscription with the Amazon store card, but I like to accumulate as many rewards points as I can. So if you know about the Kindle Unlimited subscription and whether you get reward points for paying it with the store card, leave it down below. I would love to know. I just haven't been able to look it up yet. So in total, we budgeted $770 and we spent $645.67. Those 3 cards that did not clear the bank yet, those will end up rolling forward, and I'll go ahead and mark them on the other paycheck tracker. And then as far as the remaining money that we had budgeted for this payday, we're going to end up having bill savings for $1,300. That includes those credit cards up above as well as the mortgage. We had debt savings transfers out of the checking account for $413.14. Those were debt snowball payments as well as just budget variances. The debt savings transfer for the $413 does not include the $650 that was transferred back into the account. That's just what I physically transferred out. And then the remaining roll forward that we had was $1,492.45, and that covers the auto insurance that hasn't cleared the bank yet since I was trying to change the bank account, as well as the therapy appointments that we've been saving back, and then homeschool. And then I think there's a little bit of a budget variance in there for just what the uneven dollar amounts were for the paychecks themselves. Super excited to get this one out of the way. And then back here is actually the monthly budget. And I know since it's so wide that you guys can't quite see it, so I figured we would go ahead and do a quick just overall view. Anything in pink are areas that we went over budget, and then the regular blue items are just where we stayed within that budget. I do keep the monthly budget spread set up a lot like the paycheck tracker, so my income, expenses, and sinking funds is over on the left side of the page, and all of our debt payments is on the right side of the page. I wanted to make sure that we had plenty of room for all of the debt payments, because I do like to see where we're over and under budget on those. That way I can address them going forward if I do need to change the budget around. But for the most part, I just wanted to keep track of what bills we were paying during that month, and then that way as we pay things off and the list gets shorter, it'd just be a reminder of kind of where we started from. So let's go ahead and move this one to the side, or I'll put it under this one for now. And we will start out with this side of the budget. So for the month, I do like to make reminders on my budget logs, more as just notes in case I need to fix something going forward, or I did want to go ahead and start noting what the current month goals are as well as next month's goals. Those are going to be things that I start to fill out more as I try to figure out what we're going to be paying off and really just try and make that payoff plan overall. So for this month, I made a reminder that I had not been budgeting for prescriptions, so I did need to go ahead and increase our budget to cover those prescription costs. And then the current month goals were to pay off the Stage credit card, the Affirm 3 loan, as well as just to really work on that Capital One Visa card. We're really trying to work on that one because right now it's interest-free, and that interest-free period is going to expire in October, and I just want to make sure that everything is taken care of before that expires. So let's go ahead and start at the top. So my husband's income is actually really difficult to budget for. I haven't really been paying attention to what days fall on what pay periods. Because of COVID, we were kind of limited in how many hours he could earn, and then he was able to work a little bit of overtime, but recently they've gone ahead and kind of moved him back to a 40-hour week. So on average, if he was able to get a regular 40-hour week, that should be $1,300 a paycheck, which would be $2,600 for the month because he gets paid twice a month. So for the month, he actually received $2784.94, which was $184 more than what I had budgeted for. Now my income, it stays the same all the time generally. I'm on salary, so every now and again I get an extra bonus. But other than that, it's the regular $18.50 every payday. So by the time you add on the change, it was $37.04.68, which was under budget by $4.68. I like to use those little differences to go ahead and fill in those budget variances later, and that's what I'm going to try to use for debt snowball payments, building up just checking account buffers, things like that. Now we did start with an other item on here for $135, and I had misbudgeted that. It was actually $150, and that was just for some extra side work that I had done. I do family taxes. I don't really do much else outside of work regarding taxes because I do a lot of taxes, so it gets a little exhausting. But I did get paid for doing their taxes. And then this other category also includes the 12 cents that we got in interest income and the $73 that we got from the insurance company as a refund. I don't know if that was part of the COVID thing because we've got low mileage, or if it's because they've switched us over to a quarterly payer on our auto insurance, but they did direct deposit $73 into our account, so I just included it in the other category. Now our roll forward, that was pretty large because I got paid right at the end of May. So I had figured out that the roll forward was actually $32.51.06. So total cash for the month was $9,966.65. And we had a variance of $281.29. Now, as far as expenses go, we didn't have a whole lot for auto fuel. We really just started driving to work more frequently. We're still not taking long drives just for fun, just one because of how busy we've been as well as the COVID. But for the month, we had $45.14 for auto fuel. Auto insurance, we still didn't have anything come out of the account because of the whole bank account switch. So that will be taken care of the first part of July, hopefully. And then entertainment. We budgeted for our Netflix and our Spotify subscriptions. And then on top of that, I also had a charge from Adobe. And then we also had some Vudu purchases where we bought some movies for movie night with the kids. So altogether we spent $113.49. So we were over budget $78.49. Now groceries, that is kind of like our arch nemesis. We were eating out way too much. Sadly, we've been on crazy schedules. My husband goes to work at 3:30 in the morning and he gets off really early. I go in at 8 and I haven't been getting off until 7-8 o'clock this week. So we were eating out quite a bit, and about the time we realized how much we were spending on groceries when we closed out the mid-month paycheck, we decided that we would go ahead and stock up our pantry. Part of the reason we were eating out is because we didn't have anything quick and easy to eat around the house to accommodate the crazy schedules. So we decided, since we had already overspent on our grocery budget, that we would go ahead and use some of our debt snowball money to go ahead and stock up our pantry and go ahead and do some meal prepping so that we wouldn't eat out so much going forward. So far, I think it's going to work out pretty well. We were able to make several lasagnas, enchiladas, casseroles, things, and keep that online homeschool planner because I really like it. There's no excuses. I lost the paper, so I didn't know what to work on for today, and things like that. And because we do both work full time, I really need a system that is easy for me to track what their scheduled assignments are and whether or not they get them done and when I get them graded. So we do utilize Homeschool Planet for our online homeschool planner, and I just absolutely love it. So that was the only charge that I had budgeted for. But then because I did get paid extra at the end of May, I decided that we would split that money, one between homeschool and one between emergency fund. So the emergency fund money we transferred over right away at the end of May. So we do have $500 officially in our emergency fund. And then the remaining part of the money we decided to hold back for homeschool funds because we were a little behind on our homeschool shopping this year. So I did end up spending $280 during June, and that covered part of our homeschool. It's going to cover my daughter's civics class, part of the science, which we won't actually do until the spring, only because Apologia is releasing their new version, and I already had some of the materials based off their previous version, so I wanted to get those workbooks before they quit offering them. I made the mistake of not buying the extra workbooks on the general science, and so I just wanted to have them for future use. So we had that. We also had our history program, and I want to say there was something else in there as well. So I don't think we did too bad on that one, although it does show as an over budget. Technically, I did have the money pulled aside for that one. Life insurance, that's the same amount every time. And then the medical, we didn't pay for any of the therapy again. I'm still holding that money back. We were starting to open up again here in our state, but sadly she's kind of pulled everything back, our governor, so I'm not sure what's going to go on there. But we did have $17.34 in prescriptions that technically I really didn't budget for, but I ended up using the medical money for that, and then I'll replenish that to get it back up to the full budget when I close everything out. So that was our medical. Now mortgage, that's the same amount all the time. Now pets, we did go slightly over budget on that one, and that was intentional. I knew it was going to be too bad over budget, but we have decided to switch over to Chewy.com for our pet supplies. We have 4 big dogs, and then we also have 3 cats, and we have a fish tank. And so I was buying our dog food from Sam's Club and just having it auto shipped to our house, just because it's a lot easier on the 55-pound bags and I don't have to carry them as often and things like that. But earlier this year, Sam's Club decided to quit allowing that, and then they also started charging shipping on them, even though I do have the premium membership. So we decided to go ahead and switch over to Chewy. They gave us a really big discount in May when we did make the switch. And then in June, because I bought such a big bag of cat food, we ended up having a ton of cat food left over. So I didn't have to buy any cat food, but I still wanted to meet that minimum shipping requirement, and we were running a little lower on dog food than I wanted to be. So I went ahead and bought 3 bags of dog food instead of 2, and so that's why it ended up being $84.65. Now telephone, that one, it's actually $371.01 almost every single month. We haven't made any changes to our plan or nothing like that. We do have, let's see, so we have the phones. We also have, I don't remember how many lines on there, like 4 or 5 lines. And then I have a couple extras on there for monitoring for my daughter. So it does come out to $371.01. I was budgeting $395, and that's quite a bit over. So going forward, I'll go ahead and decrease that budget. Now utilities, that was actually kind of a shorter month for us. We didn't have to pay our water bill because I built up such a big buffer on it. So I ended up not paying the month of June's water bill because I already had a credit on the account. So we actually stayed right in line with that between paying for our gas, electric, and internet. Now student loans, for the moment, we have 3 that we pay on, and 2 of them are on a forbearance for COVID. So I only paid on 1. They didn't give me an automatic forbearance on that account, so I went ahead and just kept up with the payments so far. And that is the minimum payment on the account until they finish renewing our income-based repayment plan option. So we'll see what the new payments are going to be going forward, but I'm going to continue budgeting for the $35. Now the 2 auto loans, they are right around that dollar amount, and because there again I like the nice even dollar amounts, I do budget for those specific amounts, and they are on auto pay for that amount. And then miscellaneous, this was some of the shopping that we had earlier on in the month, as well as all of our cigarette purchases. I don't remember exactly what all was in that miscellaneous category. I would have to look at the transaction logs, which is why I wanted to keep those. But I think most of it was just shopping. Yeah, I think most of them was just shopping. I don't have the transaction log there, but like I said, we are trying to figure out what to do about our smoking. It is a very expensive habit, and it's not something that I want to continue paying for. So that could have paid off a credit card right there. That is ridiculous. So we are working on trying to get that one changed. But altogether, we budgeted $37.70, and we spent $5,003.34. So we were over budget by $1,228.34. Part of that, like I said, did include the homeschool, which technically was budgeted in. It just wasn't on the planner. And then groceries and shopping were our big issues. So we're making plans on trying to fix those, and hopefully with the meal prepping, we'll be able to do much better on the groceries going forward. And then if we can figure out what we're going to do about our smoking and really just try and make a plan to quit smoking again, then I think we'll have this one under control as well. Alright, so this bottom section, this is our sinking fund section. So sinking funds on my paycheck tracker include money that I have not transferred out into the actual sinking fund account, bill pay roll forward money, as well as any kind of debt savings that maybe I have left in the account. Because I do try to keep track of those budget variances, sometimes it's hard for me to transfer that money out before the end of the pay period. So sometimes I do accumulate a balance in there. But we are currently trying to save for a homeschool sinking fund, but because we've still been making our purchases, we have not actually contributed anything to homeschool. We've been using that money. Now, emergency fund, that's something that we still want to try to increase, but we did not make any contributions for the month of June. Our roll forward, these are for future bills, so we will see most of that money go out next month, and then we'll start saving for the August bills middle towards the end of the month. So we constantly have some kind of roll forward. And then the debt savings fund, for the entire month between all the transfers in and the transfers out of the account, we ended up adding $20.78 to our cash. And sadly, I had already closed out up here when I was trying to figure out how to close out the budget. And so I went ahead and just wrote it in over here, and then I made a note over here that we ended up cashing in $20.78 from our debt savings fund. But like I said, part of that was to cover homeschool purchase, and then part of that was for the debt snowball payment. So altogether, we had budgeted $50 for our sinking fund activity, and we actually ended up having $2,771.67. And then if we move that one out of the way, we can go through the massive debt list. Now, we were aiming for a $1,400 debt snowball, but because of our own overspending on groceries and just trying to prepare for the homeschool as well, we ended up not applying all of that to the debt snowball. So the only amount that we actually applied towards the debt snowball was $500. And then I did make that extra $50 payment right here on the Amazon store account. Everything else, like I said, ended up going towards groceries so that we could start meal prepping, as well as I did save back $150 to go towards homeschool curriculum. So we'll do a quick run through on the credit cards. The credit one, we're paying the minimum amount, that's $45. The credit one Visa, now I actually meant to write that one in pink. Sadly, we were trying to figure out what that minimum payment was going to be because we did do a transfer onto that account a couple months ago as well. So I ended up being under budget on that one by $7. So going forward, I'll go ahead and increase the monthly budget for it. JCPenney's, it's always $27, that's the minimum. State Farm, they have a weird system because they actually require you to pay change. So the minimum payment on that was $66.39, and most of these are actually set up on auto pay for the minimum amount. So they just automatically come out of the account that way. I don't actually have control over setting an amount that I want to pay. So Wayfair, I budget $115, it was $114. Capital One, we were hoping to do $960. We only paid $580. The Capital One Visa card that I use, that's the one that we pay our utilities on and stuff like that. So those payments aren't included in here because I did include them for utilities. The minimum payment that we made was $81. Best Buy was $62. Amazon store account, I did try to get that under the limit, so we did $83. The Citi card, that one was another one. We did a balance transfer onto that. They gave us interest free for 18 months. And the first payment was $35, so I figured maybe going forward that would be the minimum payment, but it was actually $44.26. I under budgeted for that one, so I have since then corrected that. The Discover card, that one's on auto pay as well for $74 this month. The other Discover was $82. Sam's Club was $66. Stage, we did pay this one off, so that was $276.23. Capital One, $32. The other Capital One, $25. We paid off this Affirm loan. That was $271.09. I didn't quite know what the balance was on both of these, so I had budgeted $300 for both of them, and we were actually under budget quite a bit. Now Chase, that's another one. It's on auto pay, so that was $55. Chase Amazon, $35. Bank of America, $25. This one was $25, and then the Firm 4 was $45.67. So all together we had budgeted for $26.10. We actually paid $21.91.64, which created a variance of $418.36, which was used towards part of the homeschool as well as groceries. So that is the full month. If I sound worn out, I'm so sorry. I was trying to speed through it so that we weren't here for an hour trying to go through this. I actually tried to record this previously, and sadly my computer, I did it twice, and about 3/4 of the way through the video, halfway through the video, it just aired out and it gave you that nasty like lost signal noise. It was awful. So I was trying really hard to get through it fast. So hopefully it doesn't turn out too bad. And thank you guys so much for joining me for this. It was kind of a fiasco month, but I have to say I'm super excited. I have our mid-month budget on this side. I have our final budget on this side. And then here's our regular monthly budget. Here's the first paycheck budget. And so that completes the monthly pages for the monthly budget for the month of June. I do also have my other expense tracker right here, which I did fill out. So I showed where we had not used any autofill this payday. We were actually $63 under budget for fuel. And then the entertainment, like I said, we were over change, but the under budget on Netflix actually makes up for that. Shopping, we did go over budget on that one, sadly, because of the cigarettes. And then I included the medical on this sheet as an unbudgeted item for the $867 for the prescriptions. So all together, we just barely went over by $31. That is way better than the $600 and the $500 that we had previously at the beginning of the month. So I think we're getting much better about tracking our expenses. So that was the expense tracker. And then on the other side, I have our sinking funds tracker. Now, like I said, I really like to see those little amounts and how much they add up to. So this was the remaining debt snowball amount at the beginning of the month. This was a budget variance for the month of May that I finally transferred over. This was a budget variance on our electric bill. And this was a remaining debt snowball budget variance. Let's see. What else do we have in here? This is where it wasn't going to pay off a specific account, so I decided to go ahead and transfer the remaining money over that I had budgeted for that specific pay period into the account. We were also under budget on May 29th on some of our credit bills and stuff like that. 612, that was our budget variance. 615, that was our budget variance. And then we budgeted $250 on 628 that I finally transferred over. And then I did use part of that money for the Capital One payment as well as the homeschool curriculum. So those are total transfers in of $622.12. I transferred out $650, which gave us the total cash inflow of the $28. So super exciting. And then I do have separate savings accounts for the auto expense account. That's for oil changes, things like that. So we earned 3 cents on that one. The debt savings, because I was building up a balance in that one, we earned 19 cents. And then our emergency fund from our $500, we earned 36 cents. So it's super exciting to finally see some of these accounts growing. I can't wait to slowly expand and hopefully get some more in there. The next one that I want to start working on are holidays and birthdays. But yeah, so these are all of our trackers for the month of June. I have to say that I am just super excited with the way they all turned out. And just to be able to see where the money was going and really be able to start making hopefully smart decisions going forward. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. If you can give me a like down below, I would love it. And then if you leave me a comment, that would be amazing too. I would love to hear from you. This has, like I said, been a journey, and oh my goodness, I can't believe just some of the things that we did early on in the month when we were just getting started. But that is from just building up bad habits, sadly. We'll see how everything goes. But thank you guys so much. And if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to hear from you going forward too. Have a great day.